Hello guys, would you like to find out how I turned this braiding hair into a bone straight like hair? Well, keep watching. Somebody's buying Somebody's buying Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. So today I'm going to be doing a mini tutorial video of how to make a wig from braiding hair using the crochet method. First things first, you want to take your attachment out of the pack and cut it into different portions. You're not going to cut everything at once. You're going to select it into tiny portions and you keep cutting it as you go. So first things first, this is the first tiny portion and I'll better explain how to fish your hair. So any hair you want to do, if you're going to braid it, then you do what we call feathering. So I'm going to show you how to feather a hair. If you're going to just use it to ventilate, I usually don't feather it or drag it out, because when you ventilate, it's going to have different ends. I'll show you what I'm talking about. I'll keep some of it to show you. So this is how you feather a hair when you want to braid your hair for a braided wig or something. So you drag tiny bits. So feathering also means pulling out or fishing. So you drag it continuously until it gives you sharper ends, not blunt ends. Okay. Now, when you've dragged that tiny bit, for you to be able to comb it properly, you have to do this. Open it. So the opening is just keep opening it to make it a bit straighter and less tangled, okay? Once you've opened it a bit, it's easier to brush inside. Okay. So why I usually separate them tiny chunkies like this is because, how do I say it? If you cut all of them at the same length, you might want something longer. So it's advisable, something longer or shorter. So it's advisable to divide it into tiny chunks. Like this is, I divided it into a big chunk, small chunk, tiny chunk to sample it out. They're all gonna be useful. Okay, so here I mixed the color 23 and color 27 together because I wanted to get this brown golden color. So I had to do the open and close method with both of them. And this is actually how you blend two attachment colors together. A and B, keep opening it, closing it, mixing it together, and it produces whatever desired texture color you want. Yeah, I'm gonna show you how it looks in the end. Okay, so I was done mixing them and it's giving you both a gold and brown color. Okay, so right here I was showing you how to cut attachment equally, the last tiny chunk. So I have already pinned, this is a 4x4 lace lace. I put a white paper in it because I want to see what I'm doing. So look at this pin. It came with the mannequin head. So another important part of being able to crochet is to have a crochet pin, and this is a tiny crochet pin, the tiniest form, and a ventilating hook, stainless. Next guys is how to ventilate properly. Okay, so I wouldn't lie, this was my first try. I usually ventilate with a crochet pin, not a ventilating pin. This is my first time trying with ventilating pin. At first it was hard, but I got the hang of it because this particular net, the crochet hook couldn't go in and it kept ripping. So I had to go in with the pin. Now I'm gonna zoom in closer for you guys to see what I'm properly doing. Yeah, and make sure when you put your hook in, the pin has to go in freely within the net. You don't have to hold it too tight, or else with braiding hair, it's gonna get ripped. So it's either gonna rip the braiding hair in two or the net. So look at it, you put in your hook between the net, pick 2 strands of hair or 3 strands. I like to go with 3, and then drag it in hook it, flip the hook, and pull it out. So one more time, put it in, get 2-3 strands of hair, drag the hair out, hook it, flip the hook backwards, and pull it out. Now I try to do a double hooking, but yeah, so we're gonna do it another time. So and when you're doing this, you have to keep feeling the hair, make sure it doesn't tangle. You understand? Brush it out if possible, brush your hair. So put the pin in, pull 3 strands of hair, roll it, pull it out, flip it, reverse your pin, and pull it. It's just like when you're trying to crochet or knit. The same method of how you pull it in, pull it out. Also, guys, it is important to note that you have to be patient with this. No rushing. Take your time. And I was doing a 1-line spacing, 1-hole spacing. So I left a line. I put my hair in 1 hole and kept a space like that. So 1 hair in 1 hole, 1 space hole, the next hole, and then a line gap. I don't know. As old as I am, I don't know the difference between vertical and horizontal, honestly. So yeah, so 1 line space, put your pin in, fix the ventilate 1 hair, move, keep a space, and go to the next one. I hope this makes sense when you hear it. So guys, I was finally done with one side and I had started the second side. Also note that if you want a center pattern, you have to keep a 2-line gap that you did not ventilate. It's going to make it easier for you for having a center pattern. And also, if you don't want to use it as a center pattern, at the same time, you can close up the space in between. Nobody's going to know. How are they going to know? Look at it. It doesn't even look obvious. Next, we're going to talk about how to use a crochet hook, tiny crochet hook for the net cap. You can use a big crochet hook, but I personally prefer the tiny one because it gets the tiny hair more and we don't want it to be so bulky. So always brush your hair as many times as possible. Now, what method I used here was just a single knotting style. I counted every 4 lines within my, the pattern I'm using. Pick tiny chunk of hair, roll it, pull it out, open it, close it, and drag it out. So I counted 4 boxes in between the line. No, 2 boxes, I'm sorry, 2 boxes in between the line. Repeat the method, put the pin in between, get tiny hair, never get too much hair or else it's going to look too big. Roll it, lock it, pull it out. Yeah, I should probably shut up now so you can watch what I'm trying to say. Yeah. Okay, so I was just finishing the middle part of it. Now this is the side. and I used a different method. I measured the spacing, not so much space, and I made it look like I had made a weft. You're gonna see what I'm talking about in a jiffy. So look at how I blended the colors. It looked so nice. I loved it. Okay, so this was what I was talking about. It looks like a weft and it looked really lined properly, a little bit of space, and I was finally done with all of the back, so it was time for the center part. So I decided to sew in the closure, into the hair, and I don't know if you need a tutorial of how to sew in a closure in, I would make that, but it's pretty much easy. It's just like threading your clothes or stitching your clothes if they're bad. So guys, while I was sewing this closure in, I discovered that the excess space you can see by the side and the back, I couldn't ventilate into it or use the crochet pin, or else it would rip it apart. So I decided to use this wefting method to create like my own weft and do it. So just watch and you learn how to do it. I don't know how to explain it. Yeah, just watch it. So guys, I ended up making 2 lines of this weft, and this was it when I was done, and I'm gonna show you how to seal it in so it doesn't loose. You're gonna take a hot iron and close in on those places you've knotted, lock it in, melt as if you're melting it, and it will melt. And I also use the wool, Brazilian wool, to tie it. So now I'm sewing it in the lines of the net because you want to cover it up. You don't want it to be obvious that you actually sewed in or there is space. So yeah, I'd sewed the first layer and this is the top part. So I was almost done sewing it in, and yeah, it wasn't so beautiful. But this is how the inside of your lace should be, or your recap. It shouldn't be bulky or thick. Next, we move to cutting off the excess, the frontal, or what am I calling frontal, closure, internal cap, so your lace can look more beautiful. Your lace closure, frontal, whatever it is. Take your time when cutting this. Don't rush, or else you could cut in your lace frontal or closure. Yeah, I'm sorry if I keep saying frontal. Say what you wanna say to me now. I wanna wake up with you in the morning. Show me there's nothing fake to me now. I wanna wake up with you in the morning. Okay, so all in all, we're finally done with the wig, and it's time to move into our straightening treatment. So I tried to stand the mannequin head because my tripod stand for the mannequin head is so small. I put it on a chair and I stood it. And next I want to use the hand dryer, blow dryer, whichever one you call it. Yeah, but as fate to have it, because of the size of the stick, it kept falling, embarrassing moments, and I just turned it off and I'm like, you know what? I'll brush you out and I'm going to sit with you and I'm going to do you properly. Yeah, so this is me holding it. I had to hold it with my feet. Now, when you turn on your hand dryer, please put it on the lowest part. Know what kind of hand dryer you use, because with synthetic hair, if it's too hot, it's going to tangle. It's going to burn. It's going to look like fire touched it. So when you brush your hair and use the blow dryer, go through it, and it's going to look a bit silky. It's going to change from the bulky feeling to a bit lighter. Now, this was after the first blow drying, and look at it, it was already coming out, it was already popping. It wasn't looking like braiding hair anymore. So we're gonna go in with my secret straightening treatment, and I didn't show that part. This is after my secret straightening treatment, and it looked so good. It looks like your bone straight hair. Look at how bouncy it was. Guys, look at how bouncy and free it was. Look, it's so free to fill in. It looked like bone straight hair. You can't tell me less. And no, I don't put it in hot water. So next, I told you I wanted it to be a bob, and I went in with my clipper to chop the hair. And yes, I also cut hair with clippers. I mean, for guys too. So yeah, and I kept going at it. Guys, just keep watching. It was a total mess in my head because I kept making mistakes. Yeah. In all this, I had to sit on the floor like a village woman, and yeah, and after that I was done. I went in with the straightener to coil it at the ends, give it that bendy feeling or bobby feeling, I don't know what you call it. And yeah, make sure, please, I forgot to say this, your straightener should not be so hot. What I do is I turn it on for like a minute, switch it off, let it cool for like 30 seconds, and touch it in my hair. Don't let it be too hot, or else you're going to spoil all your efforts. Okay guys, so I was done, and honestly it was giving, and thank you for watching. See you next time.